Welcome to our first Transform Thursday. Let us begin by reading together this passage from John, which was an inspiration for Father Mike, who reminded us God is love. Beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. God's love was revealed among us in this way. God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. In this is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be atoning sacrifice for our sins. Beloved, since God loved us so much, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God. If we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is perfected in us. By this we know that we abide in him, and he in us, because he has given us of his Spirit. Let us continue to pray together in memory of Father Mike. May he be remembered today and every day for the joy he brought to students and to each one of us. Today truly honors all that he stood for. Today we gather in the shalom of relationship, welcoming this professional opportunity to connect with one another. We call this an experience an active community, not only because each school in itself is sacred ground, but because what we do, say, and are in our schools make it so. As we engage in Christ-centered learning communities, may we continue to sustain, support, encourage, and care for one another, making our students the center of our commitment and making our schools the workplaces of our finest endeavors. Amen.
Welcome to the first Transform Thursday of the year. And we're really happy to have this Thursday because what we've done is honor your voices as teachers and administrators in our school district. And to that end, you see the hashtag ECSD Transform, so please use it. Please share your insights today. Please share your questions. We have a group here who will be monitoring the feedback and sharing some of your questions and insights. Now, why is Transform Thursday different? Because last year we gave you an opportunity to share your feedback about what you wanted to change for Transform Thursday. And you said, number one, you wanted us to share a clear vision from Alberta Education and our district about where we're going and what we're doing. You wanted to ensure that the experiences you had on these Thursdays were relevant to you. If you're a 100 Voices teacher, a kindergarten teacher, or a grade 12 teacher, you wanted it to be relevant. You wanted choice. You wanted choice not just of speakers that were live speakers who were brought into our district, but also to hear your own colleagues. You wanted us to engage in 21st century practices, so not just multimedia and having things stored digitally, but you wanted opportunities to be active and to collaborate together. And finally, you wanted our PD to be accessible to all staff. And so to that end, we will have this live stream posted in 1 week, and so part-time staff, substitutes, or other staff who missed today can take part in the activity. The vision we want to share today is the one of the educated Albertan that we're striving to grow in our schools by 2030, and really we want to grow that kind of individual right now. We know that our students need these competencies, the knowledge, skills, and attitudes of being risk takers, critical thinkers, lifelong learners, and so on. So to that end, we are looking at the first goal of the ministerial order. What does it mean to be an engaged thinker? What does it mean to cultivate conditions in our schools, to grow ethical citizens? And what does it look like for us to have an entrepreneurial spirit? We are so lucky today. We are with a staff that went through a process that was so valuable for their parents and each other and their students. And I'm going to turn it over now to Marie Whelan, who really doesn't need introduction, and she's going to lead you through that process. Thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. In the Edmonton Catholic School District forever. Most people know that. But what I do want to say is that for us at Otterson, we're very, very pleased to be here. Monsignor Otterson himself imagine are all long. And so we're here today to share with you an experience, a process that we went through. It's kind of sharing a bit of. And we began looking at the mission and vision, not only of our school, because every school in our district has its own mission and vision statements, but also to connect that to the mission and vision of the Edmonton Catholic School District. And where we began as a staff, because I want to give you a bit of an overview of what we did in terms of trying to understand all that's happening in terms of 21st century learning. And so we began with the district foundation statement. The district foundation statement has within it some very powerful words that we need to pay attention to as educators in our district. And I was even noticing that here at St. Anthony's, some of those words are here on the wall, that our students are being given the opportunity to be creative, to be exceptional communicators in a faith-based community. And so one of the things that we did was unpack the district foundation statement, so we had a good understanding of the mission and vision of Edmonton Catholic in terms of the vision statement for 21st century learners. And then last year, of course, like all schools in the district, we were very involved in the Transform initiative. And so we, at our staff, we looked at the pedagogical shifts in a variety of ways. In our school, some teachers just chose one, others worked in grade level teams, but I would have to say overall, at Monsignor Fiotterson School, we really did look at all of the pedagogical shifts and try to get a grasp on where we were as a staff, what made sense to us, and where else did we need to go. And then we moved to this graphic that we thought was very valuable to us. So what we're going to do today is share with you a little bit of our experience that we had with this particular graphic from Alberta Education. For us, we felt it helped us to get a better understanding and to conceptualize what the ministerial order was all about and what about the outcome of the 3 E's, the engaged thinker, the ethical citizen with an entrepreneurial spirit. And so just looking at that and recognizing that this ministerial order is focused on student learning. And when we look at the outcomes of the engaged thinker, then we looked at it as a staff and saying, what are we doing in our classrooms? So we looked at critical thinking as an example, or if we looked at innovative students, what are we doing in our school? What is the practice going on at Monsignor Fiotterson School that will bring that to life? And so we took each part of this particular graphic and worked it as a staff. We looked at the ethical citizen, which I think for a Catholic school district is an easy one for us to embrace, but it got us focusing in our classrooms, encouraging our kids to make the right choices for the right reasons, that they have a sense of empathy and compassion for one another. And so we also then worked at that particular outcome of Alberta Education. And we also looked at what does it mean to have an entrepreneurial spirit. So are we encouraging our students to be risk takers? Are we encouraging them to challenge the status quo? Are we encouraging them to be dreamers? And so for us, it was for our students, but it was also for ourselves. What are we doing when we sit down during our professional time together? Are we engaged thinkers? Are we focused on ethical citizenship? And do we have a sense of an entrepreneurial spirit? And so I think we looked at it from that perspective. What's good for students, but also what's good for us, because we need to embrace that as well. Also, we looked at the very center, the very heart, in looking at numeracy and literacy. And what does that mean? You can have a very narrow view, or it can have a very broad view. And so as a staff, we began to work that together. What I thought was the most valuable part of this process was not only were we able to conceptualize what the ministerial order was all about, but we were also able to demonstrate in our school what we were doing well, areas of strength, and maybe areas where we needed to grow. So it was a very valuable process. It can be a bit of a messy process, and I know we have a few charts here that we put on the wall. And so this particular one here is a junior high group that was looking at the 3 E's through the lens of the humanities. And so you can see that there's a lot of work that goes into examining our practice in the classrooms. Also, if you look at the early learning group, they chose to use some photographs that they had taken because they're documenting their learning in a different kind of way. And so what I'd like to encourage before we get working back in our schools, that you would see this today as an invitation to get involved. We recognize that the process is not going to be over in a half an hour. It's going to take time. So you may choose to follow through today. You may choose to come back at it next week or the following week. But what I would like to say is I think for us as a staff, we felt this was a very valuable process that we wanted to share with you in the hope that you also would engage in that process. And so what we're going to do now, I think, is go to the sites, and we're going to have you in your staff room or in your workplace begin to work this process, and then we're going to have some feedback come back to us using Twitter, see if you have any questions or suggestions that you would like to make. So we're going to start working here, right? Here at St. Anthony's. Begin to work, and then you're working out in the schools. Thank you. I don't know, did I goof up there somewhere? It's all right. Hmm?
Just a second. I'm not sure. Why you turned it back to me? I didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought that was it. Then they just start working, then it comes back. No?
Like
So we're coming back onto the schools. So hello out there in Edmonton Catholic. We're just trying to decide if we gave enough instructions or if there was enough clarity in what the task was. So I'll just kind of go over that again. What we're wanting you to do with the posters in your school is to work those like we did here at Monsignor Fiotterson. So maybe writing down some of the projects you've done in your school, if you have images you want to put on the chart paper, or pictures or thoughts in terms of what you're doing in your school to support the 3 E's. That's actually the task that we're hoping you'll do. And then we'll come back with some feedback to us. We're working on it here at St. Anthony's School. Our staff is approaching it for the 2nd time. I believe it's the kind of initiative you could do more than once in a year because it just helps you to continue to go back and reflect on the work you're doing. So we just wanted to check in on that. As I was thinking when Rhonda asked me, are we sure? And I thought, well, I'm not totally 100% certain, but this is a whole new experience. You have to have a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit to step into this kind of initiative. And so it's good to be able to come back into the schools, and we're looking forward to your feedback. Thanks. So are you getting any feedback?
Well, that's one of the best ways to remember things anyway, is to teach it to someone. And like, there's a saying about that. I forget what it is, but I mean, even when they do research on stuff, they have people teaching and they learn it better. Yeah.
For sure. That builds confidence. Got quite a few questions. We have some good questions coming.
Well, what are some questions?
Like, how will we foster ethical entrepreneur? It says, how will we foster? How will we foster ethical entrepreneurial?
And then I'm going to answer. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, you're only going to have one question.
One question? Okay.
Just, they know to turn the microphones on, right?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
You know, I can turn them on now.
Yes, yes.
I do, okay.
Yeah. So after I do my little finishing statement, then I give it to you. Are you introducing him? Is that what's happening? How's it?
You give it to me and I'll thank you.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just gonna, it's really
wasn't sure either, because I think I was so conscious of not
Everyone kept
taking
looking
too
at
long.
me as
Well, I
though-
didn't know what else. Yeah, I thought the camera would just, when I said, now
Yeah.
we'll go to the sites, I thought they would just turn off,
I
but
think
they
that
don't.
that's where Trevor is not very good at his job, because he should let us know that he doesn't know when he's going.
Okay, because I just thought, now we'll go to the sites, and then,
But Lily
that's
turned to
okay.
me and said, "What are you gonna?" Lily turned to me, and I think it was just that's where we're not camera people, we're
No,
not TV
no,
people,
it's
so we
okay.
need a little more direction.
When that's done, and we just go to the Okay, everybody, we're going to call people back, and we're going to have a few of our teachers step up to the mic. We're going to listen to some of the tweets that came in to us here at St. Anthony's School, or St. Anthony's, and it was a school at one time. And we're going to see, I'm going to try my best to answer the questions that come forward, or listen to the tweets.
My name is Jesse Diachuk, and I'd just like to begin by thanking everybody for their tweets at #ECSDTransform. We encourage them to keep coming, as it provides a useful snapshot of the district's response to today's PD. At this point, I'm just going to share a few of the tweets that we've received over the afternoon so far. We have been using our Pause Thursdays to engage our students in a variety of sessions that challenge students. I love the focus on process. Messy? Yes. Time-consuming? Yes. Valuable? Yes. Possible? Yes. AJM's Patterns of Humanity is an initiative taking the next step engaging critical thinkers. Being an ethical citizen aligns perfectly with the social justice projects our school does throughout the year. Talking about how closely Transform matches the ideals of the IB program. Our site is creating opportunities for our students to be the drivers of their education and allow their interests to be met. Engaged thinkers, ethical citizens, and entrepreneurial spirits, some of the qualities promoted through our Lift Days, that's Holy Family, sorry. Talking about the importance of student choice in order to become an engaged thinker. And the Hawks are trying to implement the 3-act model from D.D. Meyer in our math classes to engage their curiosity and learning. And one final one, primary teachers scaffold and anchor skills their young students need to be self-reliant risk takers. So thanks for what we have so far. Keep them coming. It's good to see. Thank you.
Good, that's awesome. Shows all of the good things going on in our district.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jessie. So I'm Sarah Platero, and I'm here to share a couple of questions that have come out of this process, and we're going to give those to Marie for her to give us our experience. So one of the questions was, what was the value of this process? What is the value of this process?
The value of the process was that we, as a staff, had a better understanding of the ministerial order on student learning. I also think when we gathered together and began to record all of the good things we were doing in terms of the 21st century competencies, we realized that there was a lot of wonderful practice going on in the school that really engaged our learners. So I think that was really valuable, and that's what I'm hoping is going to happen in all the schools that are out there when you start recording those practices that you already have in place, just like the ones Jessie shared a few minutes ago, that there are very strong practices going on in Edmonton Catholic, and the more we share and build capacity across the district, the better it's going to be for everybody.
Wonderful. And we have one more question here. And this question is, how did you share this process with your parents and your students in Monsignor Fiotterson community?
We did in our school is the posters that you see here, we put out in our hallways in the school, just for parents so that they could see the work that the staff was doing. And we used a lot of the placemats from Genesis, because they have done a wonderful job in looking at the ministerial order as well. And so we made visible throughout the school the practices, the pedagogical shifts, transform, very enlarged posters put throughout the school just so people could see it. And one of the comments I remember one of our parents saying was, I wish school was like that when I went to school. So I think sharing it at our school council meetings, keeping parents informed on our website, getting our students involved in the same processes. We showed the district video to our students. They were able to talk about we do that in our classroom. So I think it's just keeping everybody involved. So thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
So should I just keep going?
And now we're just going to take a moment, and we've done our debriefing. And I'm just going to hand it to Marie to talk a little bit about this visual that I've seen in a lot of your school hallways, but some of you might not have. And what you need to know is it's a new visual that's put out by the Alberta Regional Consortium, or the Early Learning Consortium website. And so you'll be seeing it if you haven't. And I'm going to just turn it over to Marie to explain what you're going to do next.
Well, I think this is one starting point. I think there are so many wonderful graphics out there that we can embrace as professionals in our district. This one is focused on the 10 competencies. And so I think as a staff, we're going to go more deeply into that and looking at our practices in the school. We also looked at cross-curricular competencies. We drew our own competency chart that we're going to work on as a staff. So again, I think it's continuing our work so that we have a good understanding of what's going on in terms of 21st century competencies. So I think it's just that process of continuing the good work that we do, not only at our school, but the good work that we're doing across the district. And I'm hoping that we will continue, I guess, to build that capacity in Edmonton Catholic, simply because we're so fortunate to have a district that enables that to happen. And then at Otterson, I'm going to conclude by saying it's really all about the Otters.
And on that note, I know that everybody in the audience probably feels the same way. We're very thankful, Marie, to have had your expertise, and we're extremely thankful also to Monsignor Fiotterson for being here today. And as a district, we put together some gifts in a literacy bag, which we thought was very fitting. So thank you, and join me in giving a hand to Marie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Holy Trinity, we know you're looking forward to seeing Dale Scarico talk about assessment, and we wish you well on that journey, and please continue to tweet and let us know how that's going. At Louis St. Laurent, we know that you're up and running. We were a little worried about you there, but you're up and running with us, and we thank you for that. And honestly, we're really excited to hear what happens with Michael Furtick, too. So please keep the tweets up and running so we can see what's going on. And of course, in your sites, the teacher facilitators have worked so hard to be able to put on sessions for their staffs. So for those of you who are taking part in a teacher facilitated session, good luck, teacher facilitators, and you can do it. And finally, with us here, we are continuing with the live stream with Andrew Miller.